Welcome to Midlife Schmidlife, the online community for listeners who want to redefine the middle years and recreate their lives lived to the fullest. Join our host, Liz Applegate, as she interviews guests over the age of 40 who are turning their maybe somedays into today and going after their dreams. Let's get the party started.
Hey Schmidlifers, Liz Applegate here, and I am so excited to be back on air with the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. So I'm going to be really quite honest with you. 2017 has not been a year where much progress for me has been made professionally, but it certainly has been a year of a lot of introspection. So when I look back over on my life, and as well as a life coach working with clients, I can see that there are cycles that we all go through. And some cycles are very prosperous and we're just kicking ass left and right. Well, some cycles are all about the clarity. It's more internal. We're just getting clear on where we want to go. And then we could move into a cycle where it's all about trials and lessons to learn. And we can kind of move in and out of these cycles. I mean, it can last a couple months, it can last a couple years. But all of these cycles come together to make up who we are. And especially when you are on this self-awareness journey, where you are trying to grow, you may become more and more aware of these cycles in your own lives. I can see a future podcast episode in all of this. I can just already kind of see it. So I will just have to sit down and kind of write that out so that I can share more with you. But for now, 2017 is winding down. Honestly, I'm really kind of happy about it. We are in the holiday season. We have just started December. So that means the busy holiday season is here upon us. To some, this is a time of fun and festivities, and to others, the holidays can be really a time of struggle. But there's a real truth here in that how we take care of ourselves and how we feel physically can have a huge impact on how we feel emotionally. And that is any time of the year, and it speaks so true during the time of the holiday season. And that's why I'm really excited to have today's guest, Kim Acedo of Transformation Wellness for Women. And she is here to share with us her take on sustained health and small ways we can move toward living a long and healthy life. Now, I love Kim's view on us taking small changes over a long period of time to reach our optimum health. And I also love her caring way of offering support and reminding us to fill our own self-care cup. She believes that self-care isn't selfish, rather it's a very generous act. Now, this is a very inspirational conversation filled with a lot of laughter. And of course, I will probably share way too much of my own health journey. You can find the show notes at midlifeschmidlife.com episode or / episode 24. Again, that's midlifeschmidlife.com / episode 24. You'll be able to find a link to download Kim's Merry and Light holiday checklist, as well as links to a blog post that she actually mentions in our interview. I really hope you're going to enjoy it. Again, I'm so glad you're here and so honored that you are spending some time with the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. I have so appreciated all of you who have reached out. And so now let's head on over to the interview. Okay, everyone, I am so excited to have my guest, Kim Acedo from Transformation Wellness for Women, here with us today. And I'm so excited to be back on the air, and I'm so excited that Kim has joined me. And so, Kim, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited that you're back.
Yes, I'm excited too. So I'm going to be totally honest. Kim and I actually I have a recorded interview with her from back in June, I think. And I think that life just kind of got in the way. And so Kim reached back out to me just a couple weeks ago, and we are in the middle of the holiday season. It is already December, and I thought, what a great time to have her back on so that I can run her interview finally. Yay! And so before we get started, as I'm rambling on, so Kim, I'm going to ask you a question that I was thinking about would be something good for us all to consider. If we were to go forward in 10 years and your future self were to give you advice for now, what would you want that advice to be? Or what advice would she give you?
I love that question. And it's a question I would usually ask my clients or somebody else, but I'm usually the one asking the question. So it's nice to be asked that question. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. So I was actually watching a documentary a couple days ago, and it had nothing to do with anything like this. But he was giving some advice to millennials, and I'm not a millennial, but he was giving advice to millennials who, really want to be, change agents, right? And those things. And he said one of his tips at the very end of the documentary was to be tenacious yet patient.
Ooh.
And I love that. And just saying it again, I get goosebumps because that just encompasses everything about being an entrepreneur, about being a lifelong learner as we are, and always trying to grow and evolve personally and professionally. And of course, this is like the best advice I can give my clients, which is, to be tenacious, right? But at the same time, be patient. Things don't happen overnight. I think that would be some advice I would give myself if I could look back.
Yeah, that is a great thought. I love that. And I love those words too, tenacious. There's something about that word that just really, it's very thought-provoking in itself, really. So what a great answer. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So maybe in 10 years, we need to have another podcast interview, and we'll see how tenacious and patient we have been.
That would be great. And we'd probably be in different states as we are, but we'd probably be able to reach out and hug each other. Who knows, right?
Exactly.
So we'll see what that looks like then.
So true. Right. So before we get any further along, I would like the listeners to know what you do. How do you help women? And it's just so they understand where you're coming from when we're having our conversation.
Sure. Well, I actually started out about, many years ago, about year 2000, as a personal trainer. And about 90% of my clients were women in midlife. And so I kind of drew that market even as a younger person. And I really grew care and compassion and love for that demographic. And I realized that I actually was a personal trainer for about 15 years. And throughout that time, I was prescribing exercise, right? I was telling them, okay, come in, I'm going to give you a hard workout, and then you're going to leave and you're going to come back, hopefully. Right. And I'm going to give you, I would give them meal plans to follow this meal plan for 6 weeks, and you're going to, lose weight, lose inches, whatever. And so I did that for a long time, but I always felt like something was missing, and I wasn't quite sure what that thing was until one day I had a client that I had trained for 6 years, and we had come a really long way. Her husband actually made her come and work out with me. She hated working out. She hated sweating. And she told me that the very first day. And so, 6 years later, of course, we had made a lot of progress. She had came to enjoy coming in and taking care of herself, which was great. But, and this is leading to what I do now. Okay.
So, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. So, I trained her 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And one Friday I asked her, so, I'm not going to see you until Monday, but is there anything that you want me to hold you accountable to before I see you on Monday? And she said, oh, yeah, actually, my sister is going to throw a party, and she's a really great baker, and she makes these really great cookies. And, but, Kim, I'm still on my way toward my goals and I'm not there yet. And so I am going to commit to not having any cookies at my sister's party. And I said, okay, great. No cookies at your sister's party. And she said, yes. And I said, okay, anything else? And she said, yeah. I'm also going to work out one time before I see you, go for a walk or get on my bike or something like that before I see you on Monday. I said, okay, great. So no cookies at your sister's party. And you're going to, do some kind of physical activity before I see you on Monday. She said, yes. I said, okay, wonderful. I'll see you on Monday. So Monday rolls around and she walks into the gym, but I could tell by her body language she was not happy. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? And basically she just said, terrible. I feel terrible. And I said, what happened? I thought something really bad happened.
Right.
And she said, well, remember how I said I wasn't going to have any cookies at my sister's party? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, my sister made the cookies and she brought them out for everybody. And I had one, but then she went and put them in the kitchen and we continued the party. And I, once in a while, snuck back to the kitchen and I had another cookie. Mm-hmm. And then I'd go back and have another one and another one and another one. And she said, Kim, I had 10 cookies. And I said, okay, well, what about working out? You said you were going to exercise too. How did that go? Right.
Right.
And she's like, well, I was feeling so bad about myself that I just didn't exercise, So, and here's the thing, Liz, as far as a personal trainer, when I was a personal trainer and all my education was in that exercise science and kinesiology, they don't teach you how to be with your client. They don't teach you what to do in these situations. We know all the muscles. We know how to get people in shape. We know how to construct meal plans and to prescribe exercise and all of those things to help them get to their goals. But they don't help you learn behavior change habits, how to deal with those obstacles that come somebody's way. They see it more like a trainer, somebody who loves working out all the time and and never has a day they don't feel like it. Well, first of all, that's not true, okay, for anybody. But okay, so what I used to do with my clients and what I would have done with her, my first instinct was to say, okay, well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So I got to give you a really hard workout today, right? We have to burn off all those calories that you ate. 10 cookies. How many calories is that? 1,000 calories. Oh boy.
Wow.
You've got quite a workout coming to you, right?
Right.
But for the first time, Liz, I realized that she had been punishing herself all weekend. Mm-hmm. And the last thing that she needed from me was to punish her some more.
Yeah.
And I understood that because I too am a woman and I too punish myself and beat myself up. And we tend to not just do it once, we tend to do it over and over again. And so for the first time, I figured out what was missing. This was missing. Just giving them workouts and meal plans was just a small fraction of what they wanted and needed in their midlife years. Right. And so I said, you know what? We're not going to work out today. And she's like, what? We're not going to work out? I said, no, we're going to sit and we're going to talk instead. And so for the first time, I sat, I shut my mouth, and I held a safe and supportive, non-judgmental space for her to talk. And I listened, I asked her questions, I reflected, and I realized, hey, I think I have some coaching skills here. I think this is what coaching is, right?
Right.
And so I started doing this with her and my other clients, and they started getting better results because I was helping them figure out what was it that was making me go back and get another cookie and another cookie. Because we can be really obedient when we're with our accountability partner, who could be your trainer or whoever. But it's all the other hours of the day where you go and nobody's watching and you make your own choices. That's when we have a hard time. And so that's when I decided, you know what? I want to be a health and wellness coach for women in midlife. And that's what I do now. So I call myself a health and self-care coach because my clients are women in midlife who have been taking care of everybody else. And now their kids have flown from the nest. Maybe they're looking toward retirement in the next couple of years. They'd like to vacation. They'd like to travel. They start to see their parents age or not age, depending on how their parents have taken care of themselves. Some are starting to take a caregiving role. And so they are at this point of their lives where they're like, you know what, I've been taking care of everybody else. Now it's my turn to take care of me. And that's where they come to me, and I help them do that. And I help them do it virtually over the phone, just like this.
Right. Uh-huh.
I don't do much of the talking like I'm doing now, but that's the gist. I help them reach their goals, and health and self-care goals.
I love that. I really love that. I mean, there's so many parts of that I love. First off, I love that you recognize that your client was already punishing herself. And you're so right that as women, we are just horrible to ourselves. And I'm sure that I'm trying to imagine how I would feel walking in and just expecting, all right, now I've got to do, 20 extra push-ups, and I'm going to,
Right.
expecting all that, right? Like I'm going to have to do extra lunges, and instead just having someone just offer some supportive space to listen. And so first of all, I want to totally thank you for that too, because just having worked with personal trainers that don't get it, I mean, I feel that I just feel that if there would have been a nicer combination, then I still would have worked with a couple of them. But when you're going in, like, I don't need to feel worse about myself. Like, I can do that.
Exactly. You can do that at home.
For that, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Right.
So I'm curious, why do you feel... So you said that when you first became a personal trainer, that it seemed to be that women in this time of life, in the midlife years, were coming to you. Why do you feel that is?
That's really interesting, because at that time I was still in college. I was a very young personal trainer, and it was one of my first jobs, but it was my major. So it's kind of, you're kind of an intern. It's kind of what you do. I think, and I never thought about that till right now, but I think that a part of it is that I'm an only child. And as an only child, I had friends my age, but I hung around my parents a lot, and I hung around adults a lot. And I think that I just kind of, I don't know, I draw a woman or something that is a little bit older. I tend to like to be around adults more than children or young adults. And I still do. I'm not yet, quite there yet too, like at the ages that some of my clients are. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like I chose them and they chose me kind of thing. It's really wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe it was something too, especially from your you choosing them, if maybe it was something that you maybe saw in your mom or family. Just you were so you described it so well about women taking care of others and then putting themselves. So I felt like there's kind of a deep knowing of that with you. And you don't have to go into it if you don't want to. I really understand.
Right. Well, I will say this, and I don't talk about this very often, but in the beginning, I don't know why, honestly, why I drew a midlife demographic. But now I have such a deeper meaning with midlife women, as far as the whole, you've been making sure everybody else is happy, and you come last on that list. And now you want to make yourself happy, right? And I think a big part of that for me was, I haven't had kids that have left the nest, and I am not looking toward retirement soon. And I'm not in the exact place that my clients come to me where they are. However, I came out to my parents when I was 26, and as an only child and as the poster child of my family, I feel, I had a responsibility to make everybody like me, make sure that I remained the poster child, the first kid to go to graduate school, the first kid to play college basketball, and coming out to my parents was my midlife turnaround, I feel, because I had spent my life making them happy. And now I spoke my truth. I decided, hey, look, I'm going to put my needs right up there with everybody else's. And so in that way, I can really relate to what my clients are going through.
Right. Oh my gosh, I love that answer, Kim. And I have tears in my eyes. Seriously. I mean, I appreciate you sharing that with me and just the listeners. And that's such a personal story and just such a,
Yeah, it is a vulnerable story,
very much so. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Very touched. Thank you. Very honored. So, wow.
Thanks.
Okay. Now I'm going to have to compose myself after that one. Wow. Okay. Well, I will move right into the fact that we are in December. It is the holiday season. I I shared with you before we started this interview that I had written a guest blog post last year for someone. And it was all about reclaiming the holidays because I felt like I had just kind of been going through the emotions, not the emotions, but the motions of the holidays, kind of without the emotions. But I felt kind of bah humbug about it all. And last year, I just felt like I was going to take very concrete steps to turn that around. And part of that was really looking at how I was taking care of myself physically. And so that's what I felt like you and I could have a great conversation about that and why it's so important. I mean, it's important every day, of course, but during this time in the holidays, I feel like it can be easily forgotten with all the to-dos and all the stress and all the parties and all the, it's just nonstop. And so, I kind of called it my ideal day. I need to come up with a better name for that, but it's just
sounds great to me.
Yeah, it's kind of like a checklist that I need to go through. And I was just wondering if you could kind of speak into that, because a lot of times, speak into the fact of caring for ourselves physically, first of all, but also just emotionally, because I do feel like they kind of go hand in hand. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So just kind of your take on that and how you see that, how that plays out for your clients.
Right. Well, I feel like as far as myself and my own practices and which is I'm a good match for my clients because they don't usually tend to be so much like this, is that I tend to be a long-term thinker. I'm a big picture thinker. I don't get caught up too much in the details. And there's pros and cons to that, right? I was good at some subjects in school and not good at some others. But I take a big picture approach to things. I feel like our bodies, our lives are so precious. I mean, the chances of us being a human, being alive and being a human, I wrote a blog post about it, is something like 1 in 400 trillion.
That's crazy.
1 in 400 trillion are the chances. We have won the lottery already, being alive. And so I am just so grateful. I really am. I am grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my health. And just the opportunity to create a life that I want to have. And we all have that. We have that. And so my gratitude for my life translates to me wanting to take care of my body and me wanting to, thank my body, because I often say this, our body is our vehicle for life. This is our one and only home, and we're going to live in it for the rest of our lives. Yeah, we're going to get a knee replaced, or going to get a hip replaced, and, those things are going to happen. But, we want to feel good. That's the most important thing. A lot of times I think we as women, we're just ingrained with this whole idea of weight. We have to be at a certain weight. I want to be at the weight I was when I got married. I want to be at a certain weight before my, college reunion or my high school reunion, right? And we talk about weight, but it's not the weight that makes us feel good or not good, maybe emotionally. But, physically, what makes us feel good is when we don't have pain, when we can move well, when we're strong enough to carry our own groceries, when we can, bend over and get a pot or pan out of our cupboard and stand up and, those kinds of things. And so I think we forget sometimes the functionality of what our bodies do for us. And we take for granted getting in and out of a car easily, things like that. So my focus with my clients is, a lot of them come to me because they want to lose weight. I mean, most of us do. I have some weight I want to lose too, right? I mean, I'm not where I want to be physically, but when the focus is on feeling good, what makes me feel good, right? Not what's going to make me lose weight or gain weight, but what's going to make me feel good. And exercise makes me feel good afterwards. Maybe not at the time necessarily. It can be painful and uncomfortable, but I feel good after. So anyway, as far as exercise, again, having that long-term big picture approach helps me really, and also helps me remind my clients of how good they feel after they move their bodies a little bit too.
Right. What I love with your answer though is, it's a great answer, but what I noticed in that answer too was you were coming from a place of loving and appreciating your body, not hating and wishing your body were different. And what a difference that is, I think, over how we have a tendency to feel. We look at, if we want to lose weight, it's like all we see is the weight. We forget that, how lucky we are, just for so many things, like you said, but we kind of focus on that negative and we forget that, I have a body here that's, it reminds me of that, there's a saying and I can't remember it now, but it has something to do with like your body is your temple and, how we mistreat the temple, and I don't mean so much in a physical way as probably more in an emotional way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's all connected. Our physical and emotional, like you said, is connected. How we feel about ourselves, it can heighten our stress, our anxiety, our depression, our loneliness, our lack of whatever. And that affects our body. Our body feels that. And then we go and we make choices based on how we feel about ourselves. Right. And when, as we talk about the holidays and, I have my philosophy on that, but basically when we feel good, we make good choices for ourselves. It's kind of like, I know doesn't have to do with health, but like when we feel confident in ourselves, when we feel good about ourselves and we're single, we tend to make a better life partner choice, right? Or we tend to date a person who is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. But if we feel bad about ourselves and we don't feel confident, we don't feel worthy of much, then we're going to choose a partner probably that is going to be a reflection of that as well. So, and that goes for our health in the choices of food or in the choices of, how we take care of ourselves physically, in all those different ways. But I just want to say one more thing, because I think it's so important, is that, we often pay attention so much to the outside of our bodies, right? We look in the mirror every day. We look in the mirror and, we look at our bodies and we tend to look at the things we don't like and not the things that we do like.
Right.
And we're just kind of, like I said earlier, I use this word, but it's ingrained. It's just ingrained in us. I remember my dad putting me on a diet when I was a little girl. And, I could name a bunch of different things, and I'm sure, you can relate to some of those things, but we don't realize what our body does for us on the inside. When we're sleeping, our body is working. Our body is constantly working for us. Our heart is beating. We have all these involuntary actions that are happening. But we only look at the outside, like, oh, I'm too fat or I'm too pudgy here or whatever, but there's this whole other thing going on inside.
Right.
So,
and just appreciating that, really, it's just, I think if we were just to stop and think about everything that our body does without us having to, tell it to do.
Exactly.
It's miraculous and it's amazing. And,
it really is.
I love just the thought of reminding myself that every day, honestly. So, a fresh perspective on that for sure. So, wow. Yeah, I think I'm going to add that to my kind of morning,
Great.
my morning mantra. So,
Right.
yeah. And honestly, I want to move more into talking about like this time of year and everything, but um, oh, and I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was going to say something and I
It's
can't
okay.
remember. I'll come back to it. It'll
I'm
pop up.
like that too. I'm like that too.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So, as we're talking, you mentioned a couple of them, but as we are, so I'm 51 now, which is kind of like crazy when I say that out loud. Honestly, I still can't believe it sometimes. Um, but the way that I think about my body is so different now too. It's kind of like, sure, I would love to be able to wear a bikini one day, but honestly, there's also the more practical things that I want to think of, because this 51 years kind of flew by. Honestly, I just blinked and I woke up and it was like, oh crap, it's my 51st birthday. So, when I think about living another 45, 51 years, I would love to live another 51 years. So how is my body going to be in 51 years? And so there is a real practical need there, and it is just getting out of a car. I mean, it is getting in and out of a bathtub, as crazy as that sounds. We talked when we first started talking about like your future self, like what kind of, I honestly wish I could go back. I wish I could tell my 20-year-old to take better care of myself,
Mm-hmm.
like, and so I think that was one reason why I love that question. Is I want to be able to look at myself, my future self in 30 years, and say to my 51-year-old self, be like, I'm really glad that you paid attention to Kim Acedo and started taking care of yourself.
That would be a huge honor. That would be
Okay.
really a huge honor. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we forget that too. Like we forget that, we want to have a future, but to have a happy and productive future, we need to pay attention now. And
Right.
yeah. So
Right.
anyway, that was just my kind of passing
Yeah.
thought
And
there.
you work so hard your whole life in your
Mhm.
career or raising a family or putting everybody's needs first.
Mhm.
And so this is the time of life where you can start to take control over your future.
Right.
Whereas in the past, maybe you couldn't
Hmm.
because you had all these other things that were priorities
Right.
and your health wasn't a priority. But it's almost like, I'm starting to say this more and more, your health, taking care of yourself, is no longer an option. It is a necessity. If you see it as an option, just when you get to that 90, 95 or whatever, and
Yeah.
your body has broken down, there's a reason for that.
Hmm.
I'm not a kind of person, I always have a compassion, and I'm the last person to say I told you so. But
Hmm.
taking care of our health, of course, there's always going to be, cancer or disease. We're all going to die of something. Okay.
Right. Right.
You don't die of old age, you die of some kind of an illness, and we're all going to die of an illness. But there are so many things you can control. You can control what you choose to eat. You can control what time you choose to go to bed. You can control your stress level to some extent by, incorporating some practices into your day, small things. You can control whether you're going to move your body today or not. And all of these things add up. But a big problem that I see my clients making is having an all or nothing approach,
Mm. Yeah.
where it's like, okay, I have not been taking care of myself, but
Mhm.
today or January 1st, I am going to start sleeping 8 hours a night, although I only sleep 5 hours a night right now. I'm going to start exercising 5 days a week, although I don't really exercise right now. I'm
Right.
going to start,
Right.
whatever. I'm going to start
Yeah.
eating 3 servings of fruits and vegetables, although I don't really do that now. Right. And then
Right.
so you take on too much. This is the
Mhm.
biggest mistake. You take on too much, you burn out, like
Mhm.
anybody does with anything that they take on too much. I love the excitement and the ambition and the motivation. I love
Right.
that. It's
Mhm.
great. It takes you to that first couple of steps.
Mhm.
But see, this is where I come in as a coach. because you're not always going to want to feel like it. You're going to need to be reminded why you started and made this decision in the first place. You're going to need to understand what's most important to you at this time of life. Whereas when you were 20, Liz, your values are not the same as they are now.
Exactly.
Right. And so maybe a value now is health, and maybe a value now is wisdom, or, travel, or, longevity, or whatever. And so you have to make sure that these things align, because you're just not going to do it if it's not aligned with who you want to be at this time of life, and where you want to go, what you want your life to look like when you're 90, 95.
Yeah. And especially not going to, it's not going to be productive if you're still going off this notion of what you should be doing. So if we are still going off this place where, okay, well, I want to look like I'm 20, well, that's, I can get there, but if that's my only reason, then I feel like it has to be something more than that. It always has to be a deeper place of your why and why you want to get there.
Right. It can be that in the beginning. And that's what we call extrinsic motivation, right? Wanting to, being motivated by something on the outside. So what our body's going to look like, or our status, or our, those kinds of things, what people are going to think about us. And those are big motivators in the beginning, but they are short-lived.
Right.
You have to tie it into something deeper than just losing weight, because again, it goes back to being tenacious and patient. You have to be willing to be tenacious and put in the work and not see the results immediately. And that's where the patience comes in. Right. And so, but if the goal is only weight, because weight fluctuates so much, especially in midlife with all the hormonal fluctuations, and all of those things, it's just not a great predictor of our progress. And we have to understand that. And so that's why it has to be a deeper thing of like, oh, I feel better today, or, oh, I actually can twist a lot easier than I could 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Great. This is working.
Right.
And then as a result, the weight starts to melt off, because you are consistent. It's all about consistency. It's not about, again, the all or nothing. I'm being really intense and I'm going to keep this up with sheer brute force. It's just, it doesn't work that way. Nothing does.
And then you, you just, so say you skip, you're like that whole, like, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. And then one day goes by and then you don't, or you can't. And then it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm eating those 10 cookies then,
Exactly.
And it's just, I'm guilty. I'm raising my hand. It's like, I know I fall into that all or nothing. And it's kind of funny. It's not funny. It's very frustrating because I can see it play out, not just in health, but just in other areas of life too. And
right.
I think I'm going to adapt that tenacious and patience too. I'm going to get on this call and have this whole other, morning mantra that I'm going to start for myself. So let's move into kind of tying this all in. And so, if we can move past this all or nothing type of thinking and take into account that we are in a very busy and stressful time of year, what would be some advice that you would give to someone to, just kind of make this holiday season not be something that we're going to regret on January 1st.
Yes, right. Well, this year, it's very similar every year, but this year I'm really focusing my message on being merry and light. That song, White Christmas, it's merry and bright.
Right.
Well, last year I had a merry and light holiday challenge where I helped my clients stay accountable, and we had calls and all that kind of stuff. And this year I made a merry and light holiday checklist. Right. And it's the 11 must-dos to have a healthy and happy holiday season. And so if you can tell by now, I'm not about the all or nothing. I am about enjoying your life. I believe in enjoying your life. I don't believe in deprivation and never having a cookie or never having any pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving or never overindulging or whatever, not taking any days off of exercise, those things. So I created the Merry and Light Holiday Checklist because I believe in having that balance of being merry, having fun during the holidays, right? Enjoying those holiday treats that they only come around once a year, and they're very special, and you enjoy them with your family and friends. At the same time, the light part, being balanced with the light, which means having a plan, understanding how we make choices, and we make choices based on how we feel. And so, again, when we are just focused on the merry, just having fun and eating whatever we want, then we feel bad about ourselves and we start beating ourselves up and we start having a lot of negative self-talk. And then that leads to us overindulging the next day and the next day and the next day. Instead, if you can have a balance of having fun, but also building in some key things in my checklist, and they're very simple things like getting some sun, getting outside, getting some sun, which is hard for some people in the US who, or anywhere during this time of year.
Right.
But if you can get some sun. Another thing is to stay away from negative family members if possible.
Which during the holidays can be kind of hard, right?
It can be hard, right? Because you have to be around your family, and we know we all have them, I think, at least I do. We have people in our family who they have a cloud over their head a lot, and that can make us feel depressed or can make us feel down. And when we feel like that, we go and we feed ourselves or whatever, so just being aware of your surroundings, being cautious and conscious of the choices that we make. And I think that was really my message for this holiday season. So I hope that kind of made some sense.
Oh, it did. Yes, it did actually. And I will have a link for the listeners in the show notes to be able to go and download the Merry and Light checklist. And I've seen it, and it's great. I love that you give the reasons why, which is nice because it's not something that you're just telling someone to do. You're letting them learn why it's important. And so I love that because I'm someone who wants all the information. It's kind of like, well, if I want to do this, why do I have to do this?
Right.
So,
right.
And the thing when you mentioned the sun, like that was something that was surprising to me, but knowing that I actually suffer from seasonal affective disorder, and I think it was because I was raised in Florida, and so I was used to just being out in the sun. So I know that really does help me feel better. And what a great way, such a simple thing, right? Just taking a walk outside, and I love my sunshine. So it's nice just knowing that I can do that, and that can be something that's positive during this kind of hectic season. So yeah. So again, everybody can go to the show notes for that. And so and what I love too, I'm like looking at these right now as I'm scrolling through them. And another one is don't get sucked into the news.
Yeah.
So that's been something that's been pretty big for me this year. And I love actually that you and I can connect, helping clients actually I feel like we work with very similar clients on certain things. And so I know that for a lot of my clients, this has just been kind of a biggie, and it's been kind of a whammy year and doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. Right. But I love too, of just the reminder of, because speaking of that all or nothing, I know that I found myself not taking care of myself when I was allowing these negative influences to come in. And so it's easy to forget how that negativity it affects you physically as well as emotionally. And it's just so important to pay attention to. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying to not know what's going on in the world.
sure.
I think that's very important, but
Mhm.
just, get the top stories. There's lots of top stories every day.
Yes, every day.
Get those top stories. But I mean, I know, cause I've done it too. We can, click here to go to this and then click there. And then before you know it,
Mhm.
you're totally engrossed in something. And,
Right.
it was a waste of time and you're just angrier
Angry.
or you're just
Mhm.
more fed up or you just don't care anymore. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
And then that all affects how we feel about ourselves. And again, if we just say, oh, I don't care anymore, then
Mhm.
we might just not care anymore about some other things. Right.
Right.
And again, there are some things we can control and there's some
Mhm.
things that we cannot control. We have to look at our lives and be like, what can I control? Or what can I take charge of in my life? And that's why also with the holidays, a big key is planning ahead.
Mhm.
Plan ahead, I mean, if you've worked at an office for 20 or 30 years and every holiday season, everybody brings in a bunch of treats and they leave them on,
Right.
at the break room, know that and prepare
Mhm.
yourself for that. Of
Yes.
course, this is, you have to deal with this every year. So
Mhm.
understand that, okay, well, and one of the things that I would do in that situation would be to take my own lunch or take my own
Mhm.
snacks to work and don't
Right.
come home with them. I just wrote a blog about that.
Mhm.
Eat them. Sometimes you bring them home after,
Yeah.
I mean, you and I, we don't go to an office, but many of our clients do. And
Mhm.
it's so easy to just let yourself go this time of year and say, oh, when January comes. But
Right.
let me tell you, if you just, and look, this is not the time of year to lose weight either. Okay. It's
Mhm.
just, this is the worst and the hardest time of year to lose weight. So,
Yeah.
enjoy it, but at the same time, be mindful. Easier said than done, but
Yeah.
that's really the key.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's great. That's great advice too, is just being mindful and being prepared. That is a
Yes.
biggie.
Right.
So I have a just I'm curious. So if I were to come to you and say, so Kim, this weekend I'm going to a party and I'm not going to have any cookies.
Okay.
I'm curious
No
what you would,
holiday cookies.
no holiday cookies.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking of your client.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
so what would you say to me?
Okay. Are you a new client? I don't know much about you.
No, no, I would
Okay.
be a long-term client.
You'd be a long-term client.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I would kind of ask you a little bit more about why you chose to bring this up,
Mm, mhm. Right.
and so let's you play that role, I guess. So, if you want.
Oh, sure, sure.
So
This would be fun.
Liz, you don't want to have any cookies at this holiday party this weekend?
No, because I know it's just kind of an all or nothing thing, and I'm just afraid if I have one, I'm just going to, I'll just be at the platter and I'll just have more than one. And then once I have one, then I'll have to go to the cheese plate. And then I'm just afraid it'll just be kind of like, um, you know, just the whole dam will burst.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we remember this has happened before, right? I remember
Hmm.
you telling me about another party that you went to,
Right,
right?
right.
Where this happened. And do you remember how you felt after when you kind of just let yourself go
Yeah,
and,
I
and have
felt
all the treats?
horrible. I felt
Hmm.
horrible. I felt like I
Hmm.
went against what I said I was going to do, and then I felt physically ill. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just not, and that's the thing. I want to kind of, not do it. So I'm thinking I just won't have any.
Okay. Okay.
But it's really funny now that I say that. That's kind of an all or nothing thing again, right?
Well, you know what? It's okay to be all or nothing. Okay. It's
Hmm.
okay to be all or nothing with some things. This is where we have to know ourselves. And this is if we were long-term clients,
Hmm.
I would know about you. I would know
Hmm.
if you're the kind of client who can have a little treat and be done
Right,
with it, right? Who can have a
right.
square of chocolate
Hmm.
and not have the whole candy bar. Right?
Right, right,
Some of us are like that, and some of us just need to stay away. Right?
hmm
There are people who can just have one cigarette and they're
right,
fine, and then there's others. You have that first one, you got to have the whole pack. So
right.
I would know about you and would know about your tendencies for
Hmm.
that. But I would ask you, regardless, I would ask you, so how do you want to feel about yourself when you leave the party?
Mm. Yeah.
Just in general, I would ask you about that. And
Right. Yeah, and that's a great question. So I don't really have a party, by the way.
I know.
I just thought it would be interesting.
Yeah.
I felt like, how much how much your coaching practice has changed since you first started. And
Right.
And I feel like that is kind of a common thing too. We have these great intentions, like, all right, I'm going to go to this holiday party, and I'm not going to,
Right.
Yeah.
So. And this is another thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you
Go
gonna?
ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, back to the gentleness. I find that sometimes my clients, they feel like if they're gentle on themselves, meaning if you do go to the party and you do have more than you said you were going to have, okay, I recommend being gentle with yourself, meaning you learn the lesson. You say, okay, what happened there, right? In the way of not a critic or a judge, but as an observer, as a friend, right? What happened there? How come I went back and got another, instead of like, what is wrong with you? You said you weren't going to have any. You went back and you had more. You just have no self-control. That's it. I'm done, right? Yeah. That's a judge. That's a critic. Instead, looking at it like, what happened there? Oh, you know what? I was standing by the cookies the whole night, and I waited for people to come up and talk with me. You know what? Next time I'm going to go sit down. I'm not going to take a plate with me. I'm going to go sit down, and people can come and talk with me there. I think that's something that I'm going to try next time. And so, you learn the lesson, okay? And you're gentle with yourself, because if you're not gentle with yourself, you're going to feel bad about yourself, and that's going to lead into your next decisions the next day. Some of my clients, though, they're afraid that if they're gentle with themselves, that they're just giving themselves an excuse. Like, okay, all right. It's okay. But it's really not true. I really don't find that to be true. When we are gentle with ourselves as women, it is a gift that we give ourselves. And it is a precious gift. And I encourage, everybody to try that, to just be gentle, forgive yourself, learn the lesson, move on, try it again. We get day after day to become better, not to become perfect, but to get a little bit better every day, to learn about ourselves a little bit more every day. That is the goal. That is a rich life.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful thing about this time of life when you're 50, 51. What an amazing time, because Suzanne Braun Levine, who wrote so many books on midlife, she says that women in midlife, they have 3 gifts: experience, maturity, and wisdom, which you don't have in your 20s, right? You make stupid decisions when you're in your 20s. But now in your 50s and your midlife years, you have so much more experience. You're way more mature, and you have so much more wisdom that you can use to apply to your life now and really create the body health life that you want to have into your later years. So
that was beautiful, Kim. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Closed us out.
All right. Great.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Kim. And again, everyone, I will have the link so that you can download Kim's Merry and Light Holiday Checklist. And I thank you so much for joining me, and it was great connecting again.
Thanks for joining Liz for the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Remember, some days are never on your calendar until you put them there. Until next time.